Hi friends, welcome back to Health Over Hubris. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I got started with changes in my diet and nutrition. Let's get started. So actually, interestingly enough, I'm eating my dinner while I do this video. I made chicken and quinoa and spinach, and it has hot sauce in it, and it's super yummy. So if you want a recipe for it, it's super simple because I just listed all the ingredients. But it's really good. So I'm gonna eat this in between takes and also sometimes on camera because I just can't help myself. Am I the only one who dances when they eat, when something's really good? Like, I feel like you just have to let it out in some way to let people know how much you love the food you're eating. I dance and sing. So anyway, I'm gonna get started. When I was getting started with my fitness journey, I really didn't want to change the food that I was eating. It is really hard to go from eating a certain way and changing it because food is so comforting to us. I mean, I've thought so much about it since I started my fitness journey. Really, I think a lot of American culture just centers around food, and I think a lot of cultures in general centers around food. I mean, growing up, you spend a lot of time with your family, and the holidays that we celebrate are totally food-centric. So much of what we do is food related. I mean, every time I get with my friends, we want to go out to eat or we want to make food together. And that is really comforting for us to spend time with people that we love and eat food. But it also means that sometimes people can have like an emotional issue with food because we use it to comfort ourselves. Personally, I know that I eat when I am stressed or angry or upset or bored. I use food to fill a void a lot of times. If I don't know what to do with myself, I'll eat food because it's something to do. If I'm feeling upset about something, I'll eat food because it's a distraction from whatever is bothering me. So I totally understand what it can feel like to not want to change your nutrition or your diet. But it is important if you want to have long-term goals or you want to lose a lot of weight. It's really important to change your diet along with your exercise because diet is the #1 component to losing weight. So I'm gonna get into how I changed my nutrition throughout my journey. So as I said, I did not want to make a lot of changes in the beginning of my journey. So let me talk about how I ate before my journey started. I really love food. So my biggest issue is that I eat too much food. I was a pretty healthy eater to begin with. I enjoy lots of fruits and vegetables, but the problem was that I ate too many of those things. And I wasn't eating a lot of fast food. I actually am not a fan of fast food, but I do like going out to eat, or at least I did. Whenever I would go out somewhere, I would get foods that weren't good for me or weren't necessarily the best choices, and I would eat too many of them. So that was the biggest issue, is the quantity of food I was eating rather than the quality. My family tended to eat a lot of vegetables, but we ate a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch foods, which are very heavy. So I grew up on meat and potatoes, and sometimes we would have things like lasagna, like all of those amazing home-cooked meals, but they tended to be really heavy and full of calories, and I would eat way too much. And here's a funny story. When I was little, I loved butter. Loved it. Like, I would sneak it out of the container at the table, which is kind of nasty to think about, but my parents would catch me trying to eat the butter and they would tell me to stop, and I would just keep going because butter is amazing. I love it so much. But anyway, so as you can see, I had an issue with food. I sometimes ate foods that were not good for me, and I definitely ate too many of them. The other thing is that my family, we're a family of bakers. My grandmother is an amazing cook. She's probably the best cook I've ever met in my life. And so I grew up with her learning how to cook and bake, and my mom and I would bond through baking a lot of the time. But again, if you're bonding with somebody and you're making all these amazing foods, you're going to eat them as well. So we would eat these like terrible for us foods because we spent the time together and made them. So At the beginning, I did not want to change my diet, so I didn't. I joined the gym, I started working out more, and I didn't really change what I was eating. But that progress only took me so far, so I noticed that I wasn't losing as much weight as I kept going. And I knew that I needed to make some changes, and I noticed that it was harder to meet my calorie goal because I was eating these foods that were so calorically heavy. So I wanted to make sure that I was eating some lighter foods so that I could eat more of them. All right, so goal number 1 was Sara wants to eat as much food as possible. She knew she could do that if she ate foods that were low in calories, so that's what I did. So when I started out, I started incorporating a lot more veggies because you can fill up on veggies. You can eat a whole lot of them for much fewer calories. So I ate a lot of veggies with all of the foods that I was eating. I would throw spinach in my food just to fill it with some volume. Broccoli's amazing, it fills up your stomach. I started eating carrots as a snack. I started eating other vegetables as a snack. And I started planning more. Like in the morning, I would plan, okay, I'm gonna drink a protein drink before I go to school, and then I get one snack during my planning, and then I don't eat until lunch, and I don't eat snacks at night. So I sort of set out a plan for myself on how I was going to limit how many calories I'm putting in my body throughout the day by planning out what I was going to eat. So I started there, but I have to say, that was only during the week. So Friday would hit and I would still go out to eat and I would hang out with friends and I would eat pretty much whatever I wanted within my calorie goal. And during the weekend, a lot of times I would also indulge in those foods like pizza and all of those amazing desserts that I love. I am a sweets person. It's really hard for me to cut out sweets. So step 1 was getting more veggies in my diet. I also started getting a lot more fruits in my diet. I found out that fruit is one of my favorite things in the world because I am such a sugar person. I really love sweets. And I found out that when you cut out a lot of some other foods that you're eating and you switch over to fruits, you realize how good fruits taste. They are like candy when you change your nutrition and your diet. So I ate a lot more fruits and veggies. My next step was to start limiting those times that I was eating those calorically heavy meals, or I guess what people would call cheat meals. So I made it so that I only had one meal a week where I would eat something that was more calorically heavy. So if I wanted to order a pizza and eat half a pizza, I would do it one day a week instead of doing it maybe twice a week or on the weekends. So I started limiting how often I was doing those cheat meals to one time a week, which was really nice for me because when you're starting out, the most difficult part is to keep going. When you start restricting your diet, you can get in a place of you feel like you're keeping things from yourself, and then you're like, well, I'm not doing this diet because I'm not happy. So it's really important that you step yourself down kind of slowly. You don't want to restrict everything all at once, or you probably will give up on it right away. So I helped myself by making the choice that I was not gonna keep everything for myself right away. I was gonna let myself have those meals, but I was gonna slowly lessen it and create a habit where I was eating more healthier foods, lower calorie foods, and then lessening how many of those high calorie meals that I was having. Then my least favorite part came, and that is where I cut out all cheat meals and all the foods that I deemed not healthy. So this happened to be around Christmas time, which is probably the worst time to go on an extreme diet or to restrict your food, especially as a teacher, because all that students do during the winter is bring you amazing brownies and cookies and cakes and candy and everything that you want to eat. But I made the decision that if I was truly gonna keep going on this journey, I needed to cut that stuff out. I needed to not even try it because I knew as soon as my lips touched that sugar, I was going to want more and more of it. That is one of my other problems, is that once I start eating those things, I just can't stop. I have no self-control when it comes to that. So I cut it all out. And it was a lot of activities that I was engaging in with coworkers, like we would have luncheons and things at work. I couldn't engage in that at all. I would sit there and I would eat the fruit and the vegetables that they had and nothing else, which is really difficult because then people start to comment on the food that you're eating and they say that you're so good and you're just thinking, no, I'm not. I want to eat that entire cake, but I've made this choice for myself. So now I'm eating grapes, which don't get me wrong, grapes are amazing. But it's really hard to sit in a room with people eating food that you love so much and you aren't letting yourself have. It is super difficult to sit in a room with people who are making choices that you used to make and you want to make so badly, but you've determined yourself to not make those choices anymore. It is probably one of the most challenging things I've ever been through. So I made the decision that I was going to focus on eating those low-calorie foods, especially during times when other foods were being offered to me. I just decided I was not going to have it at all. I wasn't gonna let myself start, because if I started there, I knew I would not stop. So the next step for me was choosing what kind of meats I was going to eat. So I am not a huge meat fan. I don't like a lot of different meats, but I will eat them if they're in my house. So I decided that what I was going to do was only buy plain chicken breast, and I would put tons of spices on it, because spices are your best friend when you're changing your diet and nutrition, to make it taste really good. And so like every week I would buy 3 pounds of chicken breast, and I would make it one flavor for the week. Then the next week I would buy more chicken and I would make it a different flavor, just to kind of keep it different throughout the week so that I didn't get sick of it. But I really like chicken, so if you don't like chicken, you probably shouldn't buy it and eat it, because you won't want to eat it once you make it. But that was the next step, was choosing my protein. Another protein that I incorporated early on was Greek yogurt. I love Greek yogurt. I think it tastes better than regular yogurt. It also is super protein rich. And what I do with it is I take it and I add other things to it. So sometimes I add protein powder to it. Sometimes I add chia seeds, which just fill up your tummy and they make you feel full. Sometimes I add granola, sometimes I add cereal, sometimes I add sweetener and things to make it taste good, like vanilla. But in my opinion, when you take Greek yogurt and you add other things to it, it tastes like cheesecake. So I started having that as my dessert, but it was really not a dessert because it had really low sugar content, but it tasted amazing. So I did a lot more chicken and I did a lot more Greek yogurt. So I am still in the process of restricting. I still have a 1,000 calorie deficit because I'm not done with the amount of weight that I want to lose. So until I reach that goal of being in a healthy weight range, I'm gonna continue to be in my deficit. So right now my diet looks something like this. I buy chicken at the beginning of the week. I make chicken, some kind of grain, whether it's quinoa or other types of whole grains. I don't make white rice and I don't make brown rice. And I don't make any pastas, but I use a grain like quinoa. And then I have veggies throughout the week. So I buy frozen vegetables and I warm them up whenever I need them. And I buy fresh vegetables, usually cucumbers or celery or carrots. Carrots are one of my favorites. So I make all those vegetables to have on hand, and I make little packs of veggies that I eat throughout the week as snacks. And I buy a lot of spinach to toss into different recipes that I make. Greek yogurt, almost every single day I eat Greek yogurt. I love it so much. I've gotten into oats a lot. It's very filling and it's a really good breakfast and it's super good for having energy for the gym. I also eat a lot of fruits. So I pick 1 to 2 fruits a week. So bananas, apples, grapes, oranges, pears, etc. I'll pick some fruit. Oh, I've really gotten into berries lately because if you buy frozen berries, they're very low calorie content for an entire cup of them and they're so good. So I get cherries and strawberries and blueberries sometimes, but they're a little bit higher calorie. So I fill my freezer with a bunch of those good things that I can have on hand. I also do something a little bit strange recently. So I've told you that I don't really like to eat a lot of meat. So sometimes I do what I call vegetarian weeks, where I don't eat any meat throughout the week. So I'll eat strictly plant-based diet. I'll eat more beans, a lot more Greek yogurt during those weeks to fill my protein void. But I do this kind of to switch up my intake of food types to kind of get my body will get used to the same types of foods and it'll stop burning, because it's like, oh, we can expect this type of food to go into us, and then if you don't switch that up, your body's going to stay, like your metabolism kind of adjust to that and it'll adjust to your deficit. So you do want to make sure that you're switching up what you're eating sometimes, and sometimes you want to be out of your deficit a little bit, but I can explain that in another video. So anyway, I'll do these vegetarian weeks where I eat strictly plant-based diet. And then once the veggie week is up, I can tell you veggie week is hard for me just because you get super hungry when all you're eating is plant-based diet. Like, I am not gonna lie to you, it is hard. I am much more hungry when I eat just plant-based. So then I do have to go back to chicken just so that I'm filling my stomach and I'm not as hungry. Another food that I really, really love that I didn't mention but I have to is cottage cheese. And I know you're probably thinking, ew, gross, cottage cheese. But cottage cheese is so good and it has a lot of protein in it. And so what I'll do is I'll take eggs and I'll put cottage cheese in them. And I have really cut out a lot of cheeses. I don't eat cheese by itself ever, never. So what I do is I get cottage cheese, and then if you put it in something, it kind of tastes like regular cheese because it gets all melty and yummy. So I am a super fan of cottage cheese. It has really good macro content and it just makes your food taste really cheesy and delicious. The last thing I want to mention is I have kind of a strategy on how I make sure that I feel satisfied after I eat a meal. And it's gonna kind of connect to something that I learned about Belgium when I went to Belgium. So in Belgium, they don't consider it a meal unless you end with something sweet. Go figure, like the chocolate capital of the world believes that you have to have a sweet thing to end a meal. Otherwise it's a snack. So, at least that's what I was told when I was there. It might not be true. Anyway, I want to continue to believe that because I love that theory. So what I do is if I'm ever eating anything, I make sure that I choose the sweetest thing for last. So if I'm eating something with fruit, I always eat that part last in my meal and I eat all the savory things at the beginning. And it kind of signals to my body, okay, we are done eating. And that has helped me a lot with like my snacking issues, is because I will just graze forever. I will just keep eating because I have problems. But if I eat something sweet at the end, it triggers to my brain, we're done eating, we just had our sweet thing, you are done for this meal. So I recommend that if that's something that might help you. All right, time for some tips. The number one thing I'm going to remind you is it doesn't matter what you eat, as long as you are in a deficit, you will be losing weight, okay? So you can eat a hamburger and still lose weight, as long as you're tracking how many calories you're burning in the day and how many calories you're putting in your body. So, with that being said, a lot of us in the fitness community are trying to choose foods that are gonna fuel our progress, are gonna fuel us for a gym, make us feel good, make us healthier. So, here's some of my tips for if you are going to restrict your diet. If you eat foods that are lower calorie content, you can eat a lot more of them and you can fill yourself up and feel a lot fuller. Huge tip from me because I am one of those people that loves eating food. I love food. I can get down with tons of food. So eat a lot of low calorie foods and you can eat more and you can feel a little more satisfied. That being said, if that doesn't satisfy you and you're eating just like rice cakes all the time, which I sometimes do, if it doesn't satisfy you, you're going to end up eating more and you're going to end up eating higher calorie foods because you're not happy. You're not eating the things that make you feel good. So you need to eat what's going to satisfy you, or you're going to end up either ditching your diet completely, changing your restriction, or eating more than what you plan to eat. Another huge tip is to plan your meals at the beginning of the week. I always buy all my groceries at the beginning of the week. I make everything that I'm going to eat. I put them in little containers that are single servings. So I know that if I grab this container of chicken, it's this many ounces, this many calories. So it helps me with my decision making. And I can think, okay, I have 500 calories I can eat in this meal. I can grab that container and that container, put them together. This is what I can eat. So if you plan your meals ahead of time, you're less likely to snack or binge or eat things that you didn't have in your plan. The last thing I want to say, this is a little bit of some real talk, is that I don't want you to have a bad view of food. A lot of times when you restrict your diet, you can get this really negative vision of food. It happened to me. I started fearing foods and thinking that, oh my goodness, if I eat one cracker, I'm going to gain all my weight back, which is just not true. So all food is fuel. All food is there to perpetuate your body, to give it energy, to keep it warm, to let you function, to let you think, to let you stay alive. Food is so necessary. Don't hate food. Food is not the enemy. Food is a tool for you to fuel your body. There is nothing wrong with eating sugar. There is nothing wrong with eating cake, okay? You need to eat what satisfies you. If you're trying to lose weight, you need to eat with a caloric deficit. Doesn't matter what you eat, you need a deficit. Food is not the enemy. So I just wanted to put that out there because you can get in a place where you start to feel very negatively about yourself and start to get anxious about the foods you're going to eat. And I've been there and I struggle with it almost every single day. So I don't want you to fear food. Food is delicious. Food is nutritious. Food is there for you to fuel your body. There is nothing wrong with eating food that you enjoy. And there is nothing wrong with continuing to hang out with friends and eat foods that you like. As long as you have a plan and you are following the plan that you want for yourself and you are happy, that is the most important part. Watching this video, I can't wait to make more and talk more about my journey and talk about how I make healthy choices now. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you're still wondering about something related to nutrition, or you want some help like choosing some foods that work for you, or you need any recipes, please reach out to me. I would love to help you. And I would love to make some videos on what kinds of recipes I make with the foods that I eat. So if you would like that, please let me know. Yeah, I'm gonna go finish my dinner. Thanks for watching. Bye. Mentally, it would be really unfortunate if I get spinach in my teeth and I don't realize it and then I keep talking and that was on camera. Gross.
THANKS, thanks for watching. THANKS, thanks for watching. THANKS, thanks for watching. That is all. Goodbye.